Do you know there was one moment at Tokyo Dome that made the entire ARMY universe stop scrolling and immediately flood social media with reactions? Not because of fireworks, not because of a surprise guest, but because of the voice of one person. A voice that, according to thousands of netizens, literally healed something inside them. And that person is Park Jimin. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to break down exactly why Jimin's performance at Tokyo Dome during the BTS Arirang World Tour became the hottest topic in all of K-pop in April 2026, and why millions of people are calling it literally healing a part of me. Get comfortable, because this one is going to be long, and it is going to hit you right in the feelings. Before we get into the moment that shook the world, we need to understand just how heavy the journey to that night truly was. The last time BTS set foot on a Tokyo Dome stage was in July 2019, during the legendary Love Yourself, Speak Yourself tour. Think about that, 7 years. 7 full years. And during all that time, Japan, the country that embraced BTS even before they became a global phenomenon, had to wait patiently, faithfully, without a single concert in sight. Then came the pandemic that tore through the entertainment industry worldwide. And then, one by one, each BTS member fulfilled their mandatory military service obligation, which every South Korean man is required to complete. Jimin himself enlisted in December 2023 and was discharged in June 2025. For more than a year and a half, ARMY could do nothing but wait and replay Jimin's songs on repeat, counting down the days. But as the saying goes, the longer the wait, the sweeter the reunion. When Big Hit Music announced that BTS would return to Tokyo Dome on April 17th and 18th, 2026, as part of the Arirang World Tour, the world's reaction was entirely predictable. Panic, tears, and a ticketing server that crashed almost immediately. 2 nights at Tokyo Dome. 2 nights that each held 55,000 fans. A combined total of 110,000 to 111,000 people packed into that iconic venue. All of them there to witness history. And what made this moment even more emotionally loaded? For Jimin personally, this was the first time he had returned to Tokyo Dome in 8 years, not 7, 8. Because his last time there was in 2018, and now standing on that same stage in 2026, he carried with him so much more. Deeper experience, a more mature voice, and wounds from the journey that had long since transformed into strength. Before we reached the Jimin moment that broke the internet, there is something else about the atmosphere inside Tokyo Dome that went viral on its own and became a talking point all over the world. When the concert livestream began reaching cinema screens and online platforms globally, international fans noticed something incredibly rare. In the hands of the Japanese army filling the entire venue, almost no one had lifted a smartphone. What they held instead were army bombs, BTS's official light sticks, and support banners. Cameras? Almost non-existent. They weren't there to record. They were there to feel. Hallyu-focused media outlet Sportskita reported that once this scene spread worldwide, social media erupted with comments like, "This is the real way to watch a concert." RM personally thanked the Japanese fans at the end of the show, noting that in an era where people tend to reach for their phones for everything, a moment like this was a genuinely rare and precious gift. And on stage, set up in a 360-degree, in-the-round format that placed the main stage at the very center of the arena floor, giving fans from every angle a more intimate sightline than a traditional setup would allow, BTS proved that 7 years of waiting was absolutely worth it. The setlist opened with Body to Body, the opening track of their latest album Arirang, which wove the traditional Korean folk melody of Arirang into its fabric. When BTS began to sing it, the entire stadium joined in. A 55,000-person choir that made every single hair stand on end. High-energy crowd favorites like Not Today and Mic Drop sent the wave of cheers even higher. The audience tracked every movement, every vocal line, with extraordinary focus and attention. But the most anticipated moment had not yet come. At every stop of the Arirang World Tour, BTS included a unique format they called the Random Song Sequence. 2 surprise slots filled with songs outside the main set list, usually older tracks or Japanese language releases that were not announced in advance. On night 1, April 17th, those 2 surprise songs were Save Me and Crystal Snow, a Japanese-language ballad originally released in 2017. On Night 2, April 18th, the surprise slots were filled by Jhope and For You, a Japanese track from 2015. And according to multiple reports, including Korea Portal, Crystal Snow, and For You triggered the most intense audience reaction of both nights combined. More intense than Mic Drop. More intense than the new album's opening track. Why? Because those songs carry memory. Those songs belong to an era when BTS and Japanese ARMY were growing together for the first time. When BTS wasn't yet the global empire they are today, but were already loved just as deeply. And on top of all of that, there was Jimin. According to Korea Portal's coverage of the event, when Jimin hit the high notes in Crystal Snow, the entire 55,000-person venue suddenly went silent. Not because no one was making a sound, but because 55,000 people were collectively holding their breath. The kind of silence that only happens when something extraordinary is unfolding right in front of you. The kind of silence that then erupts into screaming and tears. And this is what went viral across the entire world. The hashtag #SilkyVoiceJimin trended in real time, and praise poured onto social media, including comments like, "This is a youth movie," and "heavenly vocals," flooding timelines in every language. Now let's talk about why the phrase, "literally healing a part of me," became the sentence everyone was repeating. Since the Arirang World Tour kicked off in Goyang, South Korea from April 9th to 12th, 2026, Jimin had already been turning heads with his vocal performances. Netizens even joked that Jimin seemed to be pulling Spotify out of his throat, meaning his live voice sounded exactly like a studio recording, or honestly, even better than one. At Tokyo Dome, he raised that standard again. During Fire, a high-energy track with choreography that demands enormous physical stamina, Jimin still managed to fill the entire Tokyo Dome with explosive high notes, even while breathing heavily from the intense movement. ARMY who were there in person flooded social media with a nearly identical reaction. How is it even possible to dance like that and still sing that well? Then came Crystal Snow. For longtime BTS fans, this song is not just a song. Crystal Snow is something filled with longing, beauty, and vulnerability. A perfect match for the kind of voice Jimin has, which fans have described as a stardust tone. A voice that seems to carry its own color, like dust from distant stars, drifting through the air. When Jimin sang every single part of his, completely, fully, without cutting corners, without reducing a single note, thousands of ARMY inside the venue felt something that is genuinely difficult to put into words. And millions watching through cinema live streams around the world felt exactly the same thing. The comments that flooded the internet afterward were overwhelming in their unanimity. I literally cried. His voice reached something inside me that I didn't know needed to be healed. Literally healing a part of me. I don't know how to explain it, but Jimin's voice at Tokyo Dome tonight fixed something broken in me. Jimin sang every single part of his with his full chest, and it showed. Nobody sounds like him. Nobody. He's not just performing. He's giving pieces of his soul every time he opens his mouth. And Silky Voice Jimin exploded into trending in country after country, with thousands of posts expressing the same thing. Jimin's voice is not just entertainment. Jimin's voice is an experience. But behind all the magic of that night, there was one issue that had the international ARMY community absolutely furious. Because for millions of global fans who couldn't attend in person, the only way to experience the Tokyo Dome concerts was through the live stream shown at cinema theaters around the world. And in that live stream, it was HYB's camera operators who decided what appeared on screen. And the problem? When Jimin was delivering his parts, the most technically demanding, the most emotionally charged, the most powerful moments, the cameras would frequently cut away to other members. The fan reaction was immediate and volcanic. We are tired of the poor camera work during Jimin's parts. He's a main dancer and top-tier performer, yet the camera consistently misses his center moments. Fix the direction immediately and show Jimin properly. The hashtags show Jimin properly and BTS_world_Arirang went global within hours. Fans pulled together clips from every possible angle, including fancams filmed by those actually inside the venue, as proof that Jimin was delivering something extraordinary on that stage. And the greatest irony of all, Because the official cameras kept missing Jimin, the fan cams organically shared by fans inside the venue racked up millions of views within hours, proving just how many people were desperately searching for Jimin's performances. The harder he was to find, the harder people looked. This moment also cemented a larger narrative that had been building all tour. Jimin is the one member who sang every single one of his parts completely and fully at Tokyo Dome. And precisely because the cameras kept looking away, the fans who were physically present became the only true witnesses to something the rest of the world was scrambling to see. Among everything that happened at Tokyo Dome, the stunning vocals, the flawless choreography, the emotional crowd moments, there was one thing that made all of it more personal and more profound. Jimin read aloud a handwritten letter of his own writing, in Japanese, to the entire audience at Tokyo Dome. In it, with a voice that was soft but trembling with genuine feeling, Jimin said, "I am truly happy to be able to meet you all after such a long time." Then he continued, "The fact that I could return to the Tokyo Dome after 8 years, this is all thanks to you all." And then came a sentence that stopped everyone, whether they were standing inside the dome or watching from thousands of miles away, in their tracks. The 2 days passed in the blink of an eye, but is today really the last day? A simple sentence. But for 55,000 people who had just spent what felt like the best night of their lives listening to Jimin's voice, that sentence landed like something sharp and gentle at the same time. And then his promise, "I will work harder to show you more and more beautiful stages." An idol who had just left an entire Tokyo Dome breathless with his voice and his presence, now standing there reading a handwritten letter in a slightly trembling voice, saying thank you to the people who came. It should surprise absolutely no one that the most common reaction flooding social media after that moment was a single word: tears. To truly understand why Jimin's Tokyo Dome moment hit so differently, we need to talk a little about what Japan means to Jimin, and what Jimin means to Japan. BTS is one of the K-pop groups that found its footing in Japan earlier than almost anywhere else. Even before they exploded globally, the Japanese army was already there, present from the very beginning, loyal through every single step. And BTS returned that loyalty by releasing Japanese-language songs, including Crystal Snow in 2017 and For You in 2015, songs that were now being sung again at Tokyo Dome and greeted with hysteria, as if they had been released just yesterday. Jimin has always shown genuine respect and love for his Japanese fans. The handwritten letter he read aloud in Japanese wasn't just a gesture. It was evidence of an artist who truly, deeply cares about the people who support him. And when Jimin sang Crystal Snow at Tokyo Dome with every tool in his vocal arsenal, without leaving a single note unfilled, without pulling back even once, that wasn't just a performance. That was an offering. A gift from someone who understands exactly what that moment means to the people who waited 8 years to hear him again. If anyone is still wondering why Jimin's performance at Tokyo Dome generated such an overwhelming response, it might be worth looking back, because none of this is an accident. It is the result of years of consistency and relentless work. Jimin is the only solo K-pop artist to have won 2 BMI trophies from 2 separate ceremonies, like Crazy at the BMI London Awards, and who at the 2025 BMI Pop Awards, recognized as one of the most performed songs on US radio and streaming platforms. His song Who from his solo album Muse reached the top of the Spotify Global Chart in July 2024 and was named the most streamed K-pop song on Spotify in all of 2024. That same song was later heard at Formula One races, at the FIBA Asia Cup, on Italian sports broadcasts, and across dozens of international sporting events, proving that Jimin's music speaks not just to K-pop fans, but to the broader world. When an artist with that kind of track record stands in the middle of Tokyo Dome and delivers a vocal performance that makes 55,000 people hold their breath simultaneously, it is not a coincidence. It is the summit of everything built over many, many years. At a large group concert like a BTS show, it is perfectly normal for each member to have their designated portions of each song, their parts, their moments, their solos. That's just how group performances work. But what makes Jimin different, and this is at the very heart of both the controversy and the praise at Tokyo Dome, is the way he fills every single second of every part that belongs to him. Nothing reduced, nothing skipped. Every vocal phrase delivered in full, every high note chased and reached. Every emotion poured out without filter. At a concert of this scale, where the body is already being pushed to the limit by choreography that demands extraordinary stamina, many singers, even the very best ones, will naturally dial back some of the vocal intensity to preserve their energy for the full show. That's not a flaw, that's smart performance management. But Jimin, he doesn't seem to know that compromise. In Fire, which demands enormous physical energy, he was still throwing high notes that filled the dome. In Crystal Snow, which demands precise and controlled vocal technique, he delivered every nuance with perfection. And he did all of it in front of 55,000 people who had waited 8 years for this. That is why netizens call it literally healing. Because there is something in the totality of what Jimin gives on stage that reaches something very deep in the people listening. Something that wasn't even known to be broken, until it was suddenly, inexplicably, whole again. If there is one thing we can take away from everything that happened at Tokyo Dome on April 17th and 18th, 2026, it is this. Totality always speaks louder than words. Jimin didn't need to announce that he was going to give his best. He didn't need to make a promise. He just stood on that stage and let his voice, a voice he has trained for more than a decade, speak entirely for itself. And that voice spoke directly to the hearts of 55,000 people inside that venue, and millions more watching from around the world. The controversy about the cameras not capturing him properly? It only proved how many people want to see Jimin. The more the cameras looked away, the more fan cams spread. The more fan cams spread, the more people searched. Because no one wanted to miss a single moment of what he was doing up there. And the handwritten letter he read in Japanese? That was a reminder that behind all the achievements, all the chart records, all the awards and streaming numbers, there is still a person who is genuinely, deeply grateful to be standing on a stage and sharing his music with the world. The fact that I could return to the Tokyo Dome after 8 years is all thanks to you all. Thank you, Jimin. Not just for the performance that left an entire dome breathless, but for the reminder that music, when it comes from a place of truth and is delivered with absolute, uncompromising totality, can genuinely heal, can quietly fix the parts of us we didn't even know were broken, literally healing a part of us. Purple Heart. And that was the full breakdown of Jimin's Tokyo Dome performance that made the entire world stop for a moment and feel something real. If you were there at Tokyo Dome, or if you watched through a cinema live stream, drop your experience in the comments below. I genuinely want to know which moment hit you the hardest. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe so you never miss our latest content, and share this with a fellow ARMY who deserves to feel all of this too. See you in the next one. Stay purple, stay healing. Purple Heart.